this is Kermit the Frog.
Fascinating.
I'm Captain Kirk.
Magic is always there, as long as we keep looking for it.
Engage.
What does God need with a starship?
Thank you, love you. Mwah.
I protest. I am not a merry man.
Places, please. And here we go.
Down at Fraggle Rock.
Welcome, Doozers, Gorgs, Trash Heaps, Flaxians, and Things, to episode 150 of the MuppeTrek podcast. I'm Jarman.
And I'm Steve. We are on a journey across the stars to compare and contrast the creative worlds of Jim Henson and Gene Roddenberry.
And what started as reviews of The Muppet Show and Star Trek, the original series, has expanded into outer space.
And as every 50 episodes, we take a break and compare the movies from both franchises. This week, for very special episode 150, we bring you the third installment in each franchise. That's The Muppets Take Manhattan and Star Trek III, The Search for Spock.
That's right. What a genius idea. Every 50 episodes, we'll watch a movie, so we'll get through them in 10 years. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's like every 2 years, right?
Oh, maybe every 2 years. That's not so bad.
That's about right, assuming we hit like 25, 26 episodes.
Yeah, I think so. It'll work. But before we get to that, I still have the urge to rock.
I want to rock!
That's right. Well, back on Fraggle Rock, there are all kinds of gems, jewels, and geodes, and one of the ones you might find is gypsum. Gypsum is a very soft material that, when heated, actually turns into plaster of Paris. It is then typically used in the creation of drywall and other plasters. Lighter colored forms of the material are also known more commonly as alabaster, which I at least had heard of, because alabaster has been used for sculptures ranging from ancient Greece all the way to medieval England. It was a major stone they used for very intricate sculpting. It's not just earthbound. The Mars rover, when it did its little excavation thing, found gypsum deposits under the surface. This is actually one of the main reasons why they believe that there was at some point liquid water on Mars, because gypsum traps and is known to trap water in its crystal structure while it forms and has trouble forming without it. So it's one of the reasons why they are pretty sure water must have been there, because gypsum needs it.
So aliens could have made sculptures on Mars.
Alien sculptures on Mars.
Name my next album.
You nailed it. That's gypsum, and that rocks.
That rocks.
I want to rock!
All right. Well, this week, Muppets Take Manhattan, the third installment in the Muppet trilogy, because only the three first movies are real. Let's just be real about it. That's not true. We start at a small college in upstate New York where Kermit and the gang have put together a senior variety show, Manhattan Melodies. After a cheer from the audience, they get the bright idea that they're going to try to get their show on Broadway. They head to the big city, find comfortable lockers to sleep in, and then they go to the next day to meet supposedly a producer, Martin Price. He tries to scam them out of money and is arrested while he takes two of them hostage. Camilla and Gonzo are taken hostages. The group is dismayed but continues to pound the pavement. We get a music montage. You can't take no for an answer, as they get denied over and over by every producer in town. Down on their luck and almost out of money, they head to Pete's Diner, where the others decide that the best thing might be for Kermit if they all just kind of went their separate ways. So they all lie to him and tell him they got jobs and they're kind of out of town. Everybody departs. We get a very sad song saying goodbye. But Kermit at the end is only that much more resolute, going to the top of the Empire State Building and saying, "You hear that, New York? The frog is staying." Kermit goes back, gets a job at Pete's, and starts to enact a 3-part plan to get the show on Broadway. And the first part is, if you can't beat him, join him. So he asked Jenny to make him a costume that makes him look like, I guess, a Broadway bigwig. I don't know, like a disco guy, kind of. He goes barging into a producer's office, talking big Hollywood showbiz mumbo jumbo, but it doesn't work, and the script is thrown away. Well, it turns out Piggy never left and watches Kermit and Jenny jealously from a distance. And then she friggin' loses her cool on some construction guys and then goes and loses her job hard.
With Joan Rivers.
With Joan Rivers. Kermit tries then a whispering campaign where he dresses up like a fancy man in a big coat, sneaking the rats into a famous Manhattan diner. And the rats start to whisper about, is that the producer of Manhattan Melodies, the hot new hit of the summer? But the rats get hungry and reveal themselves, causing a panic and ruining everything. Out of ideas, Kermit and Jenny decide to go for a jog with Piggy close in tow, but then her purse is snatched. She borrows skates from Gregory Hines and takes off across the park. She catches up at the purse snatcher, but ends up revealing her presence to Kermit. Gregory Hines comes, gets his skate back. As Kermit and Piggy argue, they then go and hop in a Central Park carriage and daydream about what it would have been like if they had met when they were younger, when they were babies. We get a Muppet Babies music number, which is just adorable and very high energy. In the aftermath, Piggy comes to work at Pete's Diner and they get some letters. Throughout this whole thing, they get letters from the gang, but I'm going to recap them all at the end. It's from Bernard Crawford's office, a big-time producer who wants to produce Manhattan Melodies. Kermit goes to meet him, but then meets the young Ronnie Crawford, who wants Manhattan Melodies to be his first show, and his dad promised to help him put it on. His father is not pleased, but he agrees. Kermit, overjoyed, calls the diner, tells them to write everyone to get him back. He is then hit by a cab and suffers a major brain injury.
Yeah.
While everyone worries looking for Kermit, he wakes up in a hospital with amnesia. He gets set up with a clothes and ID, and he goes out to look for a job. Meanwhile, Ronnie shows up at the diner, finds out Kermit is missing, and breaks the good/bad news that they have to find him because the show is up in 2 weeks. The gang comes back from their various adventures, and everyone starts looking for Kermit. Kermit ends up looking for a job and stumbles into an ad agency with a bunch of other frogs and pioneers the genius slogan for Ocean Breeze Soap. Ocean Breeze Soap will get you clean.
Straightforward.
Brilliant. It is a revelation, and Kermit, who is now going by Phil, is hired. The show is coming up with 1 week left. The group is desperate and begins to search all across New York City for Kermit, with some cameos and stuff mixed in. Meanwhile, Kermit is living sort of the Mad Men life in the ad game, I guess. The group has all but given up hope, with that night being the show when Phil, Gil and Lil, and Bill, the ad guys, all wander into Pete's Diner. Kermit's subconscious mind reaches out, clinking his water glasses to the notes of "Together Again." The gang realizes it's Kermit. They grab him, but he doesn't remember any of them. They drag him to the theater, hoping that they can bring his memory back. As showtime nears, Phil/Kermit goes on a rant about how ridiculous it could be that he could ever marry Piggy, and makes fun of the fact that she's a pig and fat, and it's a lot. She is so mad she chops him across the room, and by the laws of movie concussions, he gets his memory back. And it's just what the show always needed. Kermit always said the show was missing something. It was all the bears and dogs and frogs and chickens and whatever that everyone brought back with them. The show goes on with many more performers. How? We have no idea. It turns out the show is about a young couple getting married in the big city and all the hustle and bustle of planning in the city. We then find ourselves at a beautiful wedding chapel. The benches are lined with all manner of Muppets and Sesame Street characters. They sing a lovely processional song, and we even see Uncle Traveling Matt there.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh,
he's right in the front.
Wow.
Kermit realizes that Piggy replaced Gonzo with a real-life priest and realizes he has had a wedding suddenly sprung on him. They both say "I do," though Kermit a little reluctantly, and kiss. The chapel erupts. We get a reprise of Together Again, and that is The Muppets Take Manhattan.
You said you were going to go back and say where each person was staying?
Yeah, okay. So throughout this, the gang sends letters to Kermit about where they are and what they're doing. Scooter starts off by saying he's managing a big theater, but then slowly reveals that he's just kind of working there. He's giving out 3D glasses. The Swedish chef is working concessions, and New Zealand and his boomerang fish is a patron of the theater. The Electric Mayhem is playing Oompa music at a German festival outside of Pittsburgh, which my daughter perked up at. The band music is wailing and cooking. The people are also wailing and cooking. It's a good line in there.
That's Pittsburgh.
Gonzo is running a unsuccessful water stunt show at some sort of theme park sort of place. He has all the chickens who sing their impression of Tony Bennett performing the William Tell Overture as he is dragged behind a boat.
Makes perfect sense.
And my favorite, funniest moment in the entire movie is right there, where he calls out to the guy driving the boat, "Are you ready?" And it's a guy in a big chicken costume.
Yeah.
Gives him a thumbs up and he goes, "Thank you, Margaret." That's my favorite thing.
The guy looked totally bored and like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, just totally bored guy in a chicken suit. Fozzie decides that he's going to try to hibernate. That's it. That's what Fozzie goes for. And Rolf takes a really screwed up job working at a dog kennel, imprisoning other dogs and dealing with difficult customers, including James Coco, who was a guest on the Muppet Show. So that's what the gang was up to. I don't think I missed anyone in there.
No, I think you're good.
Piggy at one point lies and says she's working at a French translator at the UN. There's a couple other things in there, but that's what I can think of. So Jarman, we've watched this movie before.
Yes.
What was it like revisiting it now that you have taken in all of the Muppet Show, part of Fraggle Rock? Is it different now than it was?
I don't remember. I didn't go back and look at what my thoughts were before, but now that I've seen everything, I really enjoyed this movie. I hope I did last time. It was funny. It was cute. It had all the kind of Muppet feels that you'd have from the old Muppet Show. It was nice going back to the Muppets after watching Fraggle Rock for a while, and I wish I'd seen Traveling Matt there. But yeah, it was funny. I think maybe I'm remembering that I liked that there wasn't tons of songs because there wasn't as many songs in this, I feel, as other movies. Because I'm not always...
said it was a bunch.
There was a bunch, I guess.
Together Again, You Can't Take No for an Answer, Saying Goodbye, The Rat Scat, Together Again.
Yeah.
I'm Gonna Always Love You, He'll Make Me Happy, Somebody's Getting Married.
I feel like I remember feeling like it dragged before, but maybe I didn't feel that as much this time because maybe I'm just more interested in the characters and I know them better. And so I'm like, hey, this didn't drag at all. It was fun. It was...
Yeah, you might just care more now.
Yeah, I'm more invested in the characters. I know where they came from and what they've been through.
I'm more invested in the canon.
Yeah, in the canon. But yeah, I was, because when I was watching with my wife and she was saying that she knew that one of these movies got like panned by a lot of Muppet fans, and she couldn't remember if it was this one or the Caper movie.
This one on average is liked less than Caper.
Okay. And I don't get it. I think it was
I think the comedy in Caper was just much more tuned up. The lack of music kind of helped in that. So I think just more people.
So that one has lack of music in it. Okay. I don't know. What about
I mean, there are a couple, but there's only like 2 or 3 musical numbers.
Yeah. Because you haven't seen it since the last time we watched it, I'm guessing. So,
I mean, I may have watched it one time between now and then, but we're talking about 4 or 5 years at this point.
Yeah.
How crazy is that we've been doing this show for like, I think 4-ish years?
Yeah, pretty much. Before I met my wife, I think.
When the hell were we doing that? We got to look this up.
But it's got lots of cameos, a lot of classic Muppet moments. I love Kermit.
Oh yeah, I got the cameo list later.
Yeah, I'm excited about it because there's a bunch of them in this movie.
Yeah, so many.
Miss Piggy throwing her toxic love in Kermit's face all the time, which is great. Are you a Parks and Rec watcher? I can't remember. Parks and Recreation.
I am. Yeah.
The scene and all the scenes of him working with the boring frogs of the marketing agency reminded me so much of Ben Wyatt going to work for the accounting agency. And they all think he's amazing when he says the most crappy jokes, because it's just like when Kermit goes to work with his marketing agency.
Mark, get in here. You got to hear what Ben said. Ben, get ready to do it again.
Yeah, exactly. And he says the one simple thing. He's like, oh, the soap makes you clean. And they're like, oh my God, he's amazing.
I did like the other slogans. Ocean Breeze soap for people who don't want to stink.
Yeah. Feels kind of long. I don't know. Is this the first Rizzo movie or no?
This is the first Rizzo movie, yes.
Yeah, and I love Rizzo.
Oh, no, I'm wrong. He was in, the rats were in Great Muppet Caper. They worked at the Happiness Hotel. I can't remember if he got a name in there, but he may have.
I feel like we mentioned that he didn't get a name or something yet.
We have to look it up.
But yeah, and then we got, you'll talk about cameos later, but there's just the Star Trek Gates McFadden in here, which I'm sure we'll go into. But
shut your mouth.
Oh, sorry, the spoilers.
Shut up. I had 2 good ones.
And then I'll talk about the one of my favorite lines is when he introduces himself to the waitress. I forgot her name. What's her name again?
Jenny.
He goes, "Oh, I'm Kermit," and he's like, "I'm a frog." It's like, it's very evident you're a frog. He hasn't to say that, but he just tells her.
I like that they just call it out so it's done.
Yeah. Another line I love was when the older producer gets back and sees his son talking to Kermit. He's like, "If you two are in love, I don't want to hear about it." Because he sees him like
that was good.
He's not saying he disapproves. He just doesn't want to hear about it. Kind of half progressive there.
Yeah, half, partially progressive.
Yeah.
Progressive as they could have been, I think.
He's not disapproving. He just doesn't want to hear about it. And yeah, also, I feel Kermit would have been much happier if he just stayed with that marketing firm. I feel like the Muppets just drive him nuts on a regular basis. If he just stayed with the marketing firm, he would have a happy life.
But he was unfulfilled, clearly.
Yes.
His subconscious brain was crying out for help.
But I think Kermit would really want to stay there. He'd want to be with that marketing firm. He'd be happy.
True, especially if he's the marketing genius that their one chart with the red line led us to believe.
I don't know. So what are your thoughts now seeing it again, at least a few years later?
At least a few years later, I don't know. It really is. It is a snappy movie, and that is one thing that I think that Great Muppet Caper suffers from a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
There are some bits that linger too long, some moments that just kind of keep going that don't need to, and I didn't feel that here. Everything really led from one thing to another. I also loved the spectacle of them being in New York.
Yeah.
They're so, like in the Muppet movie, yes, they're in human places, but like when they go to the ghost town, it's just them and a few people.
Mm-hmm.
When they go to the church, it's just them and the Electric Mayhem. Like the El Sleazo bar, we get a little bit, but like to see them in a human place really, I think, kind of took it to that next level as far as them being in the world.
There's always people moving in the background, lots of extras and cars, and it's just like they're part of the real world. Yeah.
And every time there's, after his scheme, where he dresses up like a disco guy fails, they always go and sit. And I love, because I used to like be there every day, because that is right at Fifth Avenue, where the Fifth Avenue Apple store I worked out was. Yeah. So I got to go to that location every day. So seeing cute. That is also like, ah,
I like that.
But no, good. I personally like this one better than Caper, but I am in the minority.
I think
fans.
Remember definitely liking Caper more back when we first watched it. I think I do like this one more now that I know Muppets better.
Yeah,
which is weird.
But I think Caper is just, not say it's more adult, but it's just a more sincere, kind of film. You get more meta commentary because they're breaking the fourth wall and stuff.
Is this the one where they're not breaking the fourth wall, so it upsets you because it doesn't pretend that they're in a movie or something?
So I actually just looked up this article because I was like, I need to remember this. There's this whole thing with Muppet canon that gets really wishy-washy because the first movie is set in a reality where they are already famous and they decided to make a movie about how they met. Right. And even Kermit admits it's approximately how it happens.
Uh-huh.
Because even when they break the fourth wall, they're breaking it into their reality.
Right.
So this one, which also has a fourth wall break, but it is in the play when he's fourth wall breaking into that reality. So the theory is that the Muppets met at some point, approximately in the order of the Muppet movie. And then with that money, they decided to go back to college.
Okay.
They went to college, refined their skills, and launched Manhattan Melodies, which they then tried to take the big city. But the problem is that they're already famous. Like, there's all sorts of continuity issues. And then Muppet Babies, all of Muppet Babies, like 4 seasons or whatever, happens just in the dream sequence.
Oh.
that Piggy has in the cart.
That's amazing.
Because otherwise it breaks the continuity that they all knew each other as babies and
Right.
grew up together.
That makes sense.
So you have to, so all of that has to exist in that dream sequence to make Muppet canon work. But really the big joke that most articles make is that there really is none, because there are so many inconsistencies that if you try to make sense, it just goes downhill.
But I do like the idea they all meet. They go to college. They have this big show that gets them the Muppet Show, and that's their own theater with Scooter and all that jazz. I like that idea. That's my head canon. Yeah.
So that's fine.
Yeah. And then you have the movies that are telling stories like Treasure Island and Christmas
Right.
Carol.
And then those are movies that the Muppets are making in the reality where they are famous.
Right.
For that and Christmas Carol. But then you have the Muppets in 2011 with Jason Segel, where they're broken up and then they try to get the band back together. But then at the end, they admit that it was a movie that was being made, which further breaks the fourth wall.
So it's
that
more
even
confusing.
the Muppets is a movie made within the reality of the Muppets. It gets so confusing, dude.
This is like Lost, man.
This is worse than Star Trek canon, man. This is nuts.
I love it.
But no, I love this movie. I like it more than Caper. People can bite me. And it was great to revisit it, especially after getting to watch the whole Muppet Show and
and
get
I like
into Fraggle Rock.
I still like Caper a lot. I just think I do have more appreciation for this one now that I've seen everything but leading up to it, which is great.
Okay, so many cameos is what I just called this section.
Yeah.
We've got longtime actor Art Carney, who played Mr. Crawford. We have funny man James Coco, who we actually really didn't like the episode of when we watched it, who played the uptight dog owner.
He was great as that
kennel
part.
where Rolf is working. Marie Platsky, the con man, played by Dabney Coleman, the guy who played the best, worst jerk in everything you love. Actress and comedian Linda Lavin, who was a Muppet Show guest and showed up as Kermit's doctor. Gregory Hines, dancer and actor extraordinaire, who was the jogger in Central Park. Joan Rivers, an over-the-top TV personality and over-the-top sales of perfume person. Elliot Gould, actor and comedian, concerned police officer when Kermit says he's going to go kill him. And this is actually his second Muppet movie cameo. He played the host of the Bogan County Beauty Pageant featuring Miss Piggy in the Muppet movie.
Oh, yeah.
Brooke Shields, actress and model, Muppet Show guest of one of the most excellent episodes, Alice in Wonderland episode.
Yes.
That is also Wizard of Oz somehow. It's brilliant. Liza Minnelli plays herself, singer and Broadway starlet. She's also a Muppet Show guest in one of the best episodes as well, the Murder Mystery Noir Muppet episode. That was real good.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
We got Ed Koch, a former mayor of New York, and then John Landis, of all people, who played the Broadway producer. He's the director of Animal House, Blues Brothers, An American Werewolf in London, Trading Places, Spies Like Us, Three Amigos, Coming to America, and Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Yes. And his son was going to take over and do some good movies, but then his son turned out to be a creep and a weirdo, unfortunately.
Yes. Well, also, he hit a major roadblock when he was brought up on trial for the death of 3 actors, and 2 of them were children. So,
oh my God, I didn't hear about that. Jeez.
Yeah. So John Landis.
Oh, John Landis. I thought he meant his son. Okay. Yeah. That was
no, John Landis. That was for the Twilight Zone movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
helicopter decapitated 2 children and an actor.
Yeah.
Him and like 4 other producers were brought up on trial.
Let's just really bring things down.
Yeah. But he was okay in this. So, Charles, what was your favorite Muppeteering moment?
I'm going to go actually. First, there was an honorable mention. Actually, I think it looks like you mentioned it briefly as well. But
I think that's mine. Yeah.
Okay, I won't say anything then. But so I didn't see it till just now. But the Muppet Babies segment I think was great because they had they had to make so many new puppets of Muppet Baby versions of each one, and having them just rolling around and running around in unusual ways that must have been hard to produce. I thought that whole segment was just made for that one little dream sequence, and then obviously it spawned off a whole series. So I think that's pretty
like
important.
literally the entire series exists in that one dream sequence.
So it's pretty impressive, I would say. So that's my moment right there.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. This is also one of the cases, I think I mentioned this in the trivia last time we talked about this, but Muppet Babies was actually already like in production, and I think maybe even an early release when this happened. So this was, Muppet Babies was not a follow-on to this. They were just sort of two concurrent projects that kind of hit at the same time.
That worked out well.
Yeah, it did. My favorite Muppeteering moment this week is the rats in the Rat Scat kitchen number, with them doing salt and pepper shakers and spinning around and jumping and doing all sorts of stuff. Their movement was incredible. Great vocals from Steve Whitmire on the actual music portion of the number. Between the movement and the music, it just takes it for me.
And there was one little moment even before that number where one or two of the rats scurry out of the kitchen real fast, and I'm like, I don't know how they did that, but it looks so impressive. I just went and ran out of the kitchen. Like, that was really cool. That was my little honorable mention thing, but it involved the rats. So
nice.
But yeah, that's good stuff.
So Jarman, what Star Trek movie did we watch, and what is it about?
So we watched Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock. And so it kind of tells you what the movie's about right there. So there you go. They search for Spock.
We did it.
End of segment.
Done.
Okay. So the Enterprise is limping back to Earth after its adventure we just saw in 2 with Khan and the Genesis device. And they have heavy damage, and the crew is still processing Spock's death. Spoilers, sorry. Spock's coffin was fired into orbit around the brand new Genesis planet. And this Genesis device is basically something you use to terraform a planet. And that'll be important later. So when the ship reaches Earth, Enterprise, Starfleet Admiral Morrow, she thanks everybody for their service, but she promptly announces the Enterprise is going to be retired. Meanwhile, Dr. McCoy is muttering these like half-finished Vulcan phrases to himself, and he's acting very oddly. So they kind of take him into medical, basically, to kind of see if they can see what's wrong with him. But then he's also trying to book a legal passage to Genesis, so they have to stop him and confine him for evaluation. Out at the Genesis planet, Kirk's son David Marcus and Lieutenant Savick are running scientific scans from the survey ship USS Grissom, and sensors find a life form on the surface. So they beam down and they discover Spock is alive again, but in a rapidly aging child's body and seemingly without his memories. And David Marcus confesses that he used unstable protomatter in Genesis, which is now causing both Spock and the planet to age and fast forward towards their self-destruction. Meanwhile, Klingon Commander Kruge, we meet, Christopher Lloyd, he intercepts classified data about Genesis, and he decides it must be a weapon that is worth stealing. So he heads for the planet. He decloaks, he destroys the Grissom, and he takes Savick, David, and young Spock hostage. But back on Earth, Spock's father, Sarek, confronts Kirk, and he lets him know that before dying, Spock places Katra, his living spirit, into Dr. McCoy. And if the Katra and body aren't reunited together on Vulcan, Bones will eventually die from the strain because he's just a human. He can't handle it. So Kirk and the team break McCoy out of detention. They sabotage the nearby USS Excelsior, just in case anyone wants to follow them, and they steal the decommissioned Enterprise for one last return trip to Genesis. And once they get to Genesis, the Enterprise is ambushed and disabled by Kruge's bird of prey.
I thought it was Krug.
I thought it was Kruge. Did I hear it wrong the whole time?
I don't know.
Krug.
No, I'm afraid now.
Now Sean Vanderloo is going to tell us we said it wrong.
Klar.
Klar.
Watch our P's and Klars.
We're kidding, Sean. In a show of force, Krug orders a hostage executed, so David is killed while protecting Savick. Kirk pretends a surrender and beams his crew off the Enterprise and triggers the ship's self-destruct, wiping out the Klingon boarding party. Back on Genesis, Kirk and Krug fight. It is Krug. Why am I saying Kruge? I'd spelled that way, so I was saying it wrong. They fight hand-to-hand amid crazy earthquakes and lava. Kirk finally wins and takes control of the Klingon ship just before the unstable planet tears itself apart. They race on the bird of prey to Vulcan, where High Priest performed the Fall Torpan ceremony to reunite Spock's Katra with his body. It works, though his memories are still foggy. But when Kirk asks Spock, do you remember me? Spock does recognize his friend and addresses Kirk as Jim. And what a cliffhanger ending, and what could possibly happen next? Who knows?
Star Trek 4, that's what.
Whales. So, Steve, what'd you think of this movie? Been a while.
It's been a while, and I don't know. I am of the opinion that this is one of the not that great ones.
It's one of the odd number ones. They're usually the worst.
One of the odd number ones. And, I don't want to hold that curse against it, but it certainly is true. There were some good moments. I don't want to discount the entire film, but overall it falls short of 2 and 4 by a good margin. Things I liked, the Klingon opener, seeing them do like sort of stealth and subterfuge is not really Klingon style. So that was gripping. The split storyline was all right. Normally such things bug the crap out of me, but you could see them coming to a collision point, so it was acceptable.
Little A and B plot action.
Yeah. I did like that the planet wasn't just one climate or ecosystem like Star Wars style.
That's true.
So it gave us diversity of where they got to go and what we got to see. I did love the like heist aspect of the old crew overtaking, the young whippersnappers.
Oh yeah,
they were with
the geriatrics getting it on.
I did like Krug killing the tentacle beast just because he could. It was just a great Klingon moment in the movie. After what's Kirk's dead son's name?
David Marcus?
David. Yeah. After David is killed, Kirk getting hit with the news, and I said this last time too, and missing his chair might be the best acting out of Shatner in the entire franchise.
And it's an improvised moment. Leonard Nimoy just told him, do what you would do if this really happened to you in real life. And he fell down not knowing if he was going to miss the chair. And he just kind of just happened, and he did it right there on the first day, and they liked it so much.
And it was great. And it played perfectly. I did like that it was like a noble warrior's death for the Enterprise. Like I like that they sent it off, but they sent it off right.
A Klingon death, if you will.
I did like the Klingon, like, I do not deserve to live. Fine, I'll kill you later. Great line. And I have this like, but it's actually kind of a dislike category. Vulcan mysticism never ceases to amaze me for such a highly logical and scientific society.
True.
The amount of just Vulcan magic is insane. And this movie really takes it to a different level than even what we've seen before.
I will say the way I justify that, my headcanon is that they use so much mysticism and meditation stuff to stop being a chaotic, rage-filled race, that maybe they just respect that origin so much they don't want to get rid of it. That's kind of where my brain takes it. But like, you're right, the rest of their society is completely logic and science-based, so it is kind of strange that they have so much focus on mysticism.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's weird and I don't get it. Okay, some things I struggled with. The Savick reveal for the recast was just poorly done. The way they moved the camera and kind of like tricked you into thinking it might be what's her face?
Is it Kirstie Alley? Is it not Kirstie Alley?
Kirstie Alley, yeah, she's the original Savick. So that just felt bad. It felt like a bad intro, like they were trying to get around it. There was too much coincidence that the exact 3 people that the Klingons needed to leverage against Kirk happened to be the exact 3 people on the Genesis planet.
At least
I
2
know
or
it
3
had
of
to
them,
happen for plot reasons. I wish it could have happened for a smarter Star Trek reason.
That's fair.
This moment also bugged me last time I talked about this, that he admits to using proto-matter. And instead of like just implying it's a really bad thing, Savick literally has a line of dialogue where she narrates what it is out loud.
Let me explain to the audience.
Proto-matter a dangerous and unpredictable compound that has been banned across the universe. I was like, God damn it. You could
like
imply it. You knew it was bad, you dumbasses. Weird sexy stuff between Savick and Teen Spock. It just felt not good.
That was supposed to lead to them having a child later on, but it's weird that they start the flirtations that early on. They should have waited till he got older. So I agree with that. But yeah, it never panned out.
The lineup moment where they're flashing the camera around and the three people on the planet are saying who's going to die. That moment, he's like, pick one, I don't care which. And they do like, and get all the reactions. That felt bad, and it cheapened the entire moment that followed when David sacrificed himself. Like, it cheapened that moment to play that stupid like camera switch thing from the 60s.
Yeah, it's almost like an old like kung fu movie kind of style.
I know it had to happen for movie reasons, and I get it, but Kirk's recovery from his deeply emotional state to suddenly coming up with a clever ruse to take out the Klingons just was too fast to be feasible. It didn't feel right.
Right, the one good moment they had.
This is the general feedback. Klingons speak too much English in this movie. They just speak too much English. The best example of which I can think of is when the Klingons board the abandoned Enterprise, and they're like, the only thing talking is this computer, and Krug says, put me near it, and blah, blah, blah. And then here's 7, 6, 5, and he goes, get out of there now. And I'm like, why would he yell that in English? The final Spock transformation was terrible. It was an awful practical effect with his clutching his face and it like expanding and bubbling. And they should have just done the classy thing and done the kid holding his face, do a cutaway, swap in Leonard Nimoy, and been done. That would have been the classy way to do it. And instead they did that awful prosthetic that looked awful.
Yeah. Didn't age well at all.
Spock and the planet being connected, somehow driving each other was ill-explained and just terrible.
Unnecessary, really, too.
And then Kirk's byline to Krug right before his death, I was like, no one could write anything better than that. Krug's hanging on a cliff, and Kirk kicks him and says, I have had enough of you. And then kicks him to his death. And I went, nobody could write something better than that in Hollywood. All right.
Like, he doesn't need a snappy tagline, but that's just so generic that it means nothing.
It just feels bad.
Yeah, I get that.
Then the Spock ending, I wanted it to be bigger. I understand why they left it so broad. They left it broad because I think they really weren't sure if Nimoy was coming back, and so they needed an out if he didn't. But the regarding Henry Spock ending was, I don't think, as enchanting as they thought it was.
Yeah. Regarding
all of
Henry.
them just staring and smiling in a semicircle like idiots while no one said a thing was awful. It was terrible.
It was a little drawn out. Yeah.
Especially for no dialogue to put in there, not even them pretending to be talking to one another.
Just awkward.
Awkward.
Yeah. I think this whole movie is just kind of like, we have to take some time to explain how we're getting Spock back, and it could have been served in a flashback. Like, they could have just jumped to 4 and just been like, we found him, and like make it the quick part, like first 10 minutes of 4, have finding Spock on the planet fully grown, give us Katra back, start 4. Like, you don't need to have this whole movie at all, I think.
well, and that's the other thing. This whole movie felt like them just trying to like convince Leonard Nimoy to come back.
Yeah. And apparently he wasn't going to come back at all, but all they had to do was just say, he said, I'll come back if you let me direct it. And that's kind of my
right. And trivia. That's the thing. It was the, I can see the Hollywood meeting in my head with two very nervous executives sitting across the table from Leonard Nimoy. They're like, so Leonard, what can we do to get you into this movie? And Leonard Nimoy was like, well, I don't want to be in very much of it. They were like, oh, yeah, that's fine. We could have you. You could be in as little as you want. And I want to direct it. Yeah, sure. Or you're going to come back, though, for sure, though, right?
Right, right.
Like, it just felt like it was just them begging him to come back this whole film.
Because he's like, it all hinges on him. He was so popular that you can't have Kirk by himself. It just doesn't really work. He's just too much ego there. You know, it's like you need something to balance it out. But yeah, I like Robin Curtis better than Kirstie Alley, actually, in that character.
Yeah, I can see it.
It's just not a very good movie for that character. So it's just like, she's kind of wasted. But otherwise, there's good character moments. I love Christopher Lloyd just chewing up some scenery is fun, but he's not my favorite Klingon either. Like, I just don't see him as a Klingon. He's too like tall, lanky, and skinny for a Klingon for me, kind of deal. I'm always picturing them more kind of like either just huge and buff or just stocky and short like Klingons.
Well, the thing I've always really enjoyed about Klingons for the most part is that the actors they cast to play them are serious, gruff actors.
Oh yeah.
And that is not what Christopher Lloyd is. He's just not.
Yeah, he's like what's it called? A Doc from Back to the Future, or Taxi, you know, just like a weird like homeless looking guy, you know. It's
the only more out of place Klingon I can think of is whatever Klingon Christopher Plummer played.
I'm so refined as a Klingon. Yeah. Hello.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Kirk.
Hello.
Like, what? What's happening?
Yeah, he comes later, right? Yeah. One of those movies.
Yes. One of those movies.
And he refuses to wear all the Klingon makeup, so they had to like reduce it, so he just has like a bald head with barely any ridges. Yeah. And it's like, okay.
I don't want to sit in the makeup chair.
And I want to read Shakespeare as part of my Klingon. Is that okay? But yeah. So I don't have much more to say about this movie just because it feels like filler to me. It's like we had to fill in this plot gap before we get to more adventures. And so how do we get Spock back? This is how we did it. Now let's just move on. Like, it's an unfortunate kind of waste of their time, in my opinion.
Yeah. This thing just felt so much like, how can we get Leonard Nimoy back? Like, that was just what they could have called this movie that.
Their key to getting him back into more stuff. And it worked.
And I get it. And 4 was good. 4 paid off for this movie being so mediocre. But not, I would put this probably in, I don't know, bottom 3 of the original 6 pretty easy.
Yeah,
I
bottom
like
3.
2, 4, and 1 more than this, even though 1 was a drag too for other reasons.
I like 1 for other reasons, even though it does drag a lot. I like the visuals. I like that it's the first one when they're back, and so it goes above this one for me. And I don't even mind 5 and 6, but we'll get to that. But so this one is more towards the bottom for me. And the other one's just kind of boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So let's get some facts that make this even more interesting. In the opening credits, there's a 6-second long pause between William Shatner and DeForest Kelley's names, where Leonard Nimoy's name would normally be, because they kind of did a symbolic space. Like, is he going to be in this movie? Oh. When negotiating Kirstie Alley's contract for Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, Paramount Studios did not offer or include any options or clauses regarding any possible sequels. They weren't looking ahead. According to director Leonard Nimoy, this left Alley open to negotiate a new contract for this film, resulting in Alley's excessive salary demands, which I bet back in the early 80s were probably just like, can I be paid the same as everybody else? Because she's a woman, which led to her being dropped and replaced by Robin Curtis, who Leonard Nimoy...
I feel like it was probably like, I just want to be paid the same as Sulu.
Yeah, can I do that, please? And Nimoy apparently met Robin Curtis very early, like late before this movie started running. She just moved to Los Angeles. He's like, you're in. So Edward James Olmos was Nimoy's original choice for the role of Krug, which would have been pretty cool. He'd be a very good Klingon.
That would have been exceptional.
I'm Edward James Olmos, and I'm a Klingon. Kapla. However,
kill whichever one. I don't care which.
Producer Harv Bennett preferred Christopher Lloyd. Nimoy finally cast Lloyd because he came off more operatic and physically intimidating, which I find surprising because Olmos is very intimidating with his quietness, quiet intensity. Olmos was later offered the role of Jean-Luc Picard in Next Generation, but he turned it down to focus on stage and movie work. So he could have been our Picard. Yep.
Wow. But instead, we got him in Battlestar Galactica. That's the trade-off.
Battlestar Galactica.
Goddamn Cylons.
The film's villains were originally intended to be Romulans, but upper studio management wanted Klingons to be used since they were better-known enemies. By the time the decision was made, the Romulan warship was already built, and they did not want the expense of replacing it. However, since Star Trek, the original series, had already established that the Klingons and Romulans had shared technologies and ships in the past, for cost-cutting reasons, the idea of Klingons using a Romulan-style vessel was not a problem, so it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I just re-listened to that episode not long ago, and it was something like the original designer of the Romulan vessel wasn't under contract to keep it, so he kept it for a while and then got rid of it. And the next season, they were like, hey, we need that Romulan ship that you built for us. And he was like,
don't have that anymore. I threw it away. That's funny. According to Robin Curtis, in the Blu-ray making of documentary, Christopher Lloyd didn't fully understand the use of communicators. He would often shout his lines into the air rather than speak into the communicator. She says an example she used, when he says, "Bring me up," while on the Genesis planet, he yelled at the sky as if the ship could hear him. He had to be repeatedly told, "Don't yell at the sky."
Stop yelling at the sky.
You crazy person. Production was endangered by the Great Fire that happened at Paramount Studios at the time. William Shatner helped fight the fire and rescue a crew member before firefighter reinforcements arrived. Shatner said that his motivation for doing so was purely to save a day on the shooting schedule, as he had to make a deadline to be available for shooting a new season of TJ Hooker. So it wasn't out of the goodness of his heart. He was like, I got to get out of here.
This is going to screw up my timeline.
Exactly. To keep the secrecy of the film, the name Spock was never used in the movie script, but instead the alias Naklov, which is Vulcan spelled backwards. How creative. This is the feature directorial debut of Leonard Nimoy, who had previously only directed for stage and television, including an episode of TJ Hooker. Paramount didn't want Nimoy to direct due to his lack of experience, but he refused to do the film at all unless he could be the director.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep. After having problems with Gene Roddenberry trying to interfere with production on the first two movies, Paramount Studios had him effectively barred from the set during the filming of this movie because they're like, he's just a pain in the ass. In the film's novelization, Savick and David Marcus became romantically involved. The seeds for this were planted in the previous film's novelization as well, but this storyline was completely dropped from the movies. Also, Savick became pregnant with Spock's child in the novelizations, but this was also dropped in the movies. The scenes on the Genesis planet were shot on the same sound stages used by Cecil B. DeMille in his epic The Ten Commandments from 1956. So they're the same place. And that is our factoids. So, Steve, what are our Trek connections this time around?
Well, one of them, my co-host already mentioned.
Oh, sorry.
Muppet Takes Manhattan, Murray Platsky's the sleazy fake producer's secretary, is played by none other than Gates McFadden, later Beverly Crusher in Star Trek: The Next Generation. This movie, Muppet, was like her big Hollywood break. And she was later tapped by Henson to do Muppet movement and choreography for a British television film that Creature Shop did effects for called Dream Child. And then she got brought in for a little bit of Dark Crystal and then went on to be the main puppet movement choreographer for Labyrinth, including the choreography for the famous David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly ballroom dance scene.
Oh, hell yeah. Famous stuff.
And then Jenny, played by Juliana Donald, the actress has been on both Next Generation, an episode A Matter of Perspective, and Deep Space Nine episode Profit Motive.
Did not
which
know
we'll get to. So yeah, she was in 2 different Star Trek franchises. So that's the real connection.
Those are some direct connections right there.
They are. We never get that kind of good stuff.
Which makes sense because these are the same movie, man. I mean, they both came out in 1984.
Ah, shit.
That's pretty convenient.
They both feature groups of friends reconvening after splitting up to do their own thing. The Muppets, when they get called back by Kermit and Pete and Jenny and Piggy when the show is ready, and when Star Trek crew splits up to pull a spaceship heist and then reconvenes on Vulcan at the end.
Very nice. Both feature someone losing their memories. Spock and Kermit getting amnesia.
That's a good one. Both feature people as relative, people being taken hostage. Marie Plotsky grabs Camilla and Gonzo in his escape from the police, and Krug and the Klingons when they grab Savick, and I literally put Kirk's son's name because I couldn't remember it.
David Marcus.
David and Kid Spock on the planet.
Hey, Kid
both
Spock.
Hostages.
He's hip. He's cool. Both have a big ceremony in the finale. The wedding of Kermit and Piggy at the end of that movie, and the Katra reunification ceremony with Spock.
This might be the time where we have both had no overlap in our similarities, and they weren't bullshit.
That's true. That's pretty good. Oh, but
We're
what
getting
is
better
that
at this.
strange noise in the distance? Oh.
Transporter malfunction. Transporter malfunction.
All right, now's the time of the show where we transport one character from one movie to the other movie and vice versa. What do you got for us, Steve?
Trek to Muppets this week. I'm going to bring over the Klingons and replace the rats in Pete's kitchen. Not only do I think that scat number would have been taken to a whole new level, but I would have loved to have watch them like fight each other and then challenge Pete for superiority in the kitchen.
Pete's kitchen would be destroyed.
Yeah.
Poor Pete. Trek to Muppets. I'd have the Genesis planet powers come over to infuse the Biltmore Theater. Now stick with me here. The Biltmore Theater is where the Muppets have their last show of the movie, the big Broadway debut.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So as the Muppets are performing, they aren't aged rapidly. Something weird happens to the Genesis device, and they're mutated and evolved into these humanoid monstrosities with superpowers as they're doing their show in the Biltmore Theater. That's happening.
And they all turn into Leonard Nimoy. All of them.
All of them eventually.
Monsters. Muppets to Trek, I'm going to bring over Pete and replace Krug. Just sort of bumbling through scenes and speaking what you think might be Klingon and sending vague, confusing threats to Kirk that he really can't understand.
Klingon or Klingon? Klingon or Klingon? You know?
A spaceship is stars. Klingons is Klingons.
I don't understand. Muppets of Trek, I'd have Miss Piggy come over to replace Krug because she's always had Klingon energy. Let's be honest. She's always just being a Klingon.
I could definitely get on board with that.
Exactly. She'd be a terrifying Krug.
I can agree fully with that.
But believe it or not, that brings us to the end of our 150th episode of MuppeTrek. I cannot believe it. That's amazing.
Join us next time for Fraggle Rock episode Red's Sea Monster.
And the Star Trek Next Generation episode Shades of Grey, unfortunately, which also brings us to the end of season 2. So we'll be giving our top 3 and bottom 3 of season 2 of Next Generation.
Very excited to recap this season. All that and more next time. So from the lovers, the dreamers, and us.
Live long and prosper, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the MuppeTrek podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media on Facebook and Twitter.
Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
This podcast has been brought to you by A Play on Nerds.